Have you noticed something strange? No layoffs, no warnings, no crisis headlines, but nobody's getting promoted. Not at your company, not in your friend circle, not on LinkedIn. This isn't random. The promotion freeze has already started, and most people won't realize it until it's too late. And by the time they figure it out, they'll have wasted years waiting on a ladder that quietly stopped moving. In the next 13 minutes, I'll show you what's happening, why, and what smart professionals are already doing about it. So stay with me, because the last 3 minutes might be the most valuable career advice you hear this year. Welcome back. If you're new here, great to have you. This channel discusses the real dynamics of the modern workplace, not the polished HR version, nor the motivational poster version. The actual version affecting your paycheck, title, future, and financial independence. I cover career strategy, corporate economics, and patterns most professionals miss until they're caught in them. Today's topic is one I've built toward. Signs stack up quietly, and mainstream media isn't connecting the dots for you. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the promotion freeze, and what almost everyone misses. When companies struggle, people picture layoffs, big announcements, thousands of jobs cut, red headlines on CNBC. Spokespeople read prepared statements about difficult but necessary decisions. Layoffs are real. We've seen them. But here's the critical thing. Layoffs are visible. They make noise, forcing companies to justify themselves publicly. Shareholders ask questions. Employees get angry. The media covers it. But there's another strategy companies increasingly rely on. One that costs them nothing. One that requires no press release, no HR emergency, no town hall, no public explanation whatsoever. It's called the promotion freeze. And here's exactly how it works. Instead of firing you, the company just stops moving you up. You keep your job, you keep your title. You keep your salary, maybe you even get a small cost of living adjustment, so you don't start asking uncomfortable questions. But the path forward, it's quietly sealed off. There's no announcement. There's no memo. It just stops. And this is happening right now across every major industry in America. Tech, finance, healthcare, retail, professional services. It doesn't matter what field you're in. Why? Because several powerful forces are all converging at the same time. First, budget reallocation. Companies are pouring billions of dollars into AI tools and automation. That capital has to come from somewhere. It's coming from headcount budgets, salary band expansion, and money that used to fund promotions. The AI investment isn't just changing work, it's literally consuming the budget that used to move people up. Second, the flattening of hierarchies. Middle management is quietly disappearing. Companies discovered during remote work that a single VP could manage 20 people without traditional layers. Fewer layers means fewer rungs, and fewer rungs means fewer places for you to go. Third, the explosion of contract and gig workers. Why promote a full-time employee into a senior role? With salary, benefits, equity, and long-term cost, when you can bring in a specialized contractor for a fraction of the cost? Companies are making this calculation every single day. And fourth, what HR departments are now calling the internal mobility pause. That's the corporate phrase for. We have stopped internal promotions indefinitely. They announce it quietly, internally, in language that sounds temporary and almost reasonable. You might have heard it dressed up as strategic restructuring, or headcount optimization, or flattened hierarchy initiatives. These are real phrases from real internal memos. And they all mean the same thing. The ladder is getting shorter, and nobody sent you a memo about it. Now let's talk about what this actually feels like from the inside. Because if any of this is resonating with you personally, I want you to understand something first, and I want you to really hear this. You are not the problem. You are not underperforming. You are not missing some invisible skill that your colleagues somehow have. You are not being passed over because your manager doesn't like you, or because you said something wrong in a meeting 3 years ago. You are stuck because the structure itself has fundamentally changed, and that is not the same thing as you failing. That distinction matters enormously, not just for your confidence, but for how you respond strategically. Here's what makes the promotion freeze so psychologically devastating. It is specifically designed, whether intentionally or not, to feel like your personal failure. Think about it from the company's perspective. When you don't get promoted, nobody calls you into a conference room and says, "Hey, just so you know, we've paused all upward mobility at this organization." That conversation would trigger mass resignations overnight. Instead, they give you more responsibility. You start doing the work of someone 2 levels above your title. You become the person your team comes to when something goes wrong. You're training the new hires. You're running the cross-functional projects. You're the one the director relies on when they need something done right. But your title, still the same as when you started. Your pay band, unchanged. Your official standing at the company, exactly where it was 18 months ago. This is what's called skill inflation without reward. You are growing, your contribution is growing, but your compensation and your title are not. And then comes the phrase that has almost become a dark joke in corporate America right now: acting manager. You are doing the manager's job in every practical sense. You have the accountability. You carry the stress. You answer for the team's results, but you don't have the title on your LinkedIn. You don't have the corresponding salary. You don't have the actual organizational authority that should come with it. You are a manager in function and an individual contributor on paper. And when you raise your hand, when you finally sit down with your manager and say, "Look, I've been doing this work. I think it's time we talk about my title and my compensation," you get the famous corporate non-answer. We're evaluating the structure right now. Budget decisions are still being finalized for next quarter. Let's absolutely revisit this conversation in Q3. Q3 arrives, nothing changes. Q4 comes around. Let's circle back in Q1. And somewhere in that cycle, a year passes. Then another one. Then you realize you've had the same title for 3 years. And you've been having the same conversation with your manager on repeat. This is title stagnation. And in a healthy job market, it simply did not happen at this scale. Historically, professionals moved up roughly every 18 to 24 months, either through an internal promotion or through a strategic job change. That was the rhythm of a functioning career ladder. But right now, we are seeing professionals sit at the same title for 3, 4, even 5 years. And here's why that matters far beyond your ego or your business card. Your title is a market signal when you eventually go to interview at another company, because at some point, most people in this situation do. The hiring manager looks at your progression first. What level did you start at? How quickly did you advance? What titles have you held and when? If you've spent 4 years at the same level, even if you've been doing extraordinary work, that trajectory doesn't show up clearly on a resume. And in a competitive job market with hundreds of applicants, that ambiguity can genuinely cost you. The promotion freeze doesn't just hold you still in the present. It actively weakens your negotiating position in the future, and it gets worse. There is a financial consequence that compounds silently in the background, and it's called salary compression. Here's exactly how it works. You've been at your company for 4 or 5 years. You've received modest annual raises. 3%, maybe 4% if you were lucky. You are loyal. You have institutional knowledge. You are experienced and reliable. But meanwhile, the company is hiring new people, entry-level and early mid-career professionals, at market rates that have moved significantly since you joined. Because the external market has adjusted, because inflation happened, because the competition for talent forced salaries up. But your internal pay band, it has not kept pace with the external market. So now you have a situation where someone with 2 years of experience is earning nearly what you were earning with 6. That is salary compression. And it is rampant right now across American corporations. You are not being fired. You are being quietly made less valuable, financially and professionally, while the company continues to fully benefit from your output, your experience, and your institutional knowledge. You're not underperforming. The ladder itself is shrinking. Now let's zoom out, because this is not just a personal career problem. This is a structural economic issue, and It is actively reshaping the American middle class in real time. Think about what happens when millions of professionals stop advancing at the same time across every industry, simultaneously. First, retirement gets delayed. The financial milestones that previous generations hit in their early 40s, meaningful home equity, real retirement savings, the early signs of financial independence, are being pushed back to 55, even 60. Not because people aren't working hard enough, because the income trajectory that made those milestones achievable has been quietly and systematically compressed. Second, the middle class erosion accelerates. The professional middle class, the people who built their financial stability and their identity around career progression, around the idea that hard work and loyalty would eventually be rewarded, is being squeezed from both sides. Compensation is not growing at the rate it should. The cost of everything is rising. And the career advancement that was supposed to close that gap has been frozen. Third, a two-class professional economy is forming right before our eyes. On one side, senior executives, founders, major shareholders, and investors, the people at the top of already flattened organizations, capturing the vast majority of the gains from an AI-driven productivity. On the other side, the individual contributors doing more work, managing more complexity, delivering more output, with no corresponding movement in their compensation or their career trajectory. And here's the mechanism that connects all of it. AI eliminates mid-level roles. Fewer leadership layers exist. The productivity gains that AI creates flow directly upward to executives and shareholders. Top-heavy profit distribution becomes the default corporate model. And the professionals in the middle are left doing more, earning proportionally less with no visible path forward. This is not a recession story. This is not about struggling companies cutting costs out of desperation. Corporate profits are at record highs. Stock market returns have been remarkable. Executive bonuses are extraordinary. The money is there. The money is flowing, it's just not flowing toward you. The promotion freeze is not happening because companies cannot afford to promote you. It is happening because in the current structure, they have calculated that they do not have to. So what do you do about it? Here's where I want to give you something genuinely actionable. And I want to be clear up front, this is not the generic adverb. This is strategic. This is what the professionals who are actually navigating this environment successfully are doing right now. The first move, leverage your role, not your title. In a frozen promotion environment, your official title matters less than the scope of what you actually do day to day. So aggressively document everything you're doing above your official level. Quantify your impact in concrete, specific terms: dollars generated or saved, time reduced, client relationships maintained, revenue protected, projects delivered. That documentation becomes your leverage. Whether you are negotiating for a raise internally or positioning yourself for an external move, you need a clear, numbers-driven case for the value you are already delivering. The second move, build revenue-adjacent skills immediately. Companies are freezing promotions across the board, but they are not freezing compensation for skills that directly touch revenue. Sales strategy, business development, product monetization, revenue operations, pricing analysis. The closer your demonstrated skills are to money actually coming through the door, the harder you are to freeze and the harder you are to replace. The third move, negotiate. Don't wait. Stop waiting for the annual performance review cycle to give you what you have already earned. The market does not operate on your company's fiscal calendar. Explore competing opportunities, not necessarily to leave, but to understand what the external market actually values you at. A genuine competing offer or even a serious external conversation is the single most powerful lever you have in internal compensation negotiation. Companies move fastest on compensation when they believe the cost of losing you is real. The fourth move, choose external mobility over internal loyalty. The data on this is unambiguous. Professionals who make strategic company changes every 2 to 3 years consistently earn significantly more over the course of a career than those who remain loyal to a single employer. Loyalty is a virtue, but loyalty to an organization that has quietly capped your future without telling you is not loyalty. It's a trap dressed up as stability. In 2026, the fastest way up, maybe sideways. The promotion freeze is real. It is already happening. And the companies implementing it will not announce it. Your manager may not even have the full picture themselves. The decision is often made several levels above your direct line of sight, filtered down through HR language that sounds neutral and temporary. But now you know what to look for. And now you know how to respond. And acting on that knowledge before 3 more years disappear is the first move. If this resonated with you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Subscribe if you want more content that actually helps you navigate the modern workplace. And drop a comment below. Has your company quietly frozen promotions? What are you seeing on the ground? I genuinely want to know. See you in the next one.